You know, some stories feel like they're hiding in plain sight. We think we know them, right? These simple tales of our ancestors. But what if, just beneath the surface, there are secrets of, well, cosmic proportion? Today, we're not just talking about a patriarch buying a burial plot. No, we are peeling back the very layers of reality to uncover Abraham's first secret vision inside the cave of Machpelah. It was a vision that revealed a gateway to the very beginning of time. So let's go back to that moment, to the heat and the dust, and find out what really happened at the mouth of that cave.
Okay, so the entire mystery really hinges on this one passage from the Zohar Hadash. It talks about an encounter that happened before the famous negotiation for the cave, and it tells us that Abraham saw something inside that sparked this immediate, overwhelming, just absolute desire for that specific place. This wasn't just a nice piece of land, it was something else entirely. What could he have possibly seen that was so powerful? Well, that's the heart of our journey today.
So we've got to ask the right questions, right? I mean, this wasn't some planned expedition. How do you just accidentally find the front door to paradise? And what secret, what unbelievable truth about the way reality is built was revealed to him in that darkness? We're going to follow right in his footsteps, from the blazing sun right into the cool of the cave, to find out.
So here's how we're going to break this down. First, we'll relive Abraham's hidden encounter. Then, we'll figure out the sign he saw. After that, we'll get into the cosmic mechanics of this gateway and see why he absolutely had to buy that space. Then, we'll try to unlock the whole thing with some modern ideas. And finally, bring it all home and see what it means for our own sacred space.
All right, let's set the scene. This completely world-altering event, it doesn't kick off with a grand prophecy or a voice from the heavens. Nope. It starts with something incredibly normal, almost boring. It starts with a chase.
Just picture it. Abraham's preparing this big meal for his angelic guests, and one of his calves just bolts. It takes off running across the fields of Hebron, and Abraham, being the perfect host, goes running after it. He's just chasing this animal, with no idea that it's leading him away from the world he knows and straight to the edge of a reality he couldn't even have dreamed of.
And the chase leads him to this place he's never seen before, the dark mouth of a cave. I mean, imagine the oppressive Judean heat, the sun just beating down. And then you see this stark black opening in the rock, promising relief, promising coolness. He stops right at the entrance, this boundary between the bright, familiar world and the deep, silent unknown.
So he peers inside, and as his eyes start to adjust to the gloom, he sees it. And it's impossible, but it's there. Deep inside the cave, there's a faint light. It's glowing. The Zohar calls it a ner dolek, a burning lamp. Now, this isn't sunlight bouncing off the walls. This is a radiance coming from within the rock itself. A soft, otherworldly glow where there should be nothing but pitch black. And that's the first clue that this is no ordinary cave.
He's drawn in by the light, so he takes a step inside. And the second he does, this sense just washes over him. It's not the smell of damp earth or musty rock. The Zohar Hadash is very specific here. He smelled the unmistakable fragrance of the spices of the Garden of Eden. It's the aroma of creation itself in its purest form. A scent that just does not belong in our world, and it confirms the impossible truth that's starting to dawn on him.
And then, in the heart of the cave, lit by that impossible light, he sees them, Adam and Eve. And they're not ghosts, they're not spirits, they're just resting, lying on their beds in this state of sacred stillness. What he's seeing is the origin of humanity, the primordial archetypes, preserved in a state of absolute hidden purity. The air is just thick with this profound sacred silence. It's a vision of the root of every single human soul.
And in that total silence, he hears something. It's faint at first, but then it becomes clear. The text says he actually heard the voices of ministering angels, confirming what he was seeing. They're whispering, Adam is buried here, and this place is prepared for the patriarchs. And in that one moment, Abraham gets it. This isn't just a tomb, it's a destiny.
Okay, so this was more than just some mind-blowing vision. Abraham's soul wasn't just experiencing something amazing, it was understanding something fundamental about how reality works. He recognized the sign.
Now, the key to this whole thing is a specific Aramaic word the Zohar uses, simana. This doesn't just mean a hint or a clue. A simana is a symbol that points to a whole hidden, structured reality. It's like seeing a single intricate gear on the ground and instantly understanding that there's a massive, complex machine it belongs to. That's what Abraham saw.
He saw the cosmic order of the place. So what exactly was this simana, this sign? Well, it wasn't just one thing. It wasn't only the light or the scent of Eden or even seeing Adam and Eve. The true sign, the real mind-bender, was that all of these things were happening together in one physical spot. It was the sudden, shocking realization that this point on Earth was utterly unique in all of creation. And here is the absolute core of the secret. Abraham understood that this cave was basically a junction box for reality, a physical location right here on Earth that was somehow directly touching the spiritual dimension of the Garden of Eden. It wasn't in Eden, but it was right next door, a physical doorway where the veil between worlds was so thin it was practically non-existent.
And listen, our source text just lays it out there, plain as day, no room for doubt. The cave of Machpelah is adjacent to the entrance of the Garden of Eden. That's the secret he uncovered, a place where the physical and the primordial spiritual worlds literally meet.
Okay, so we know what the secret is, but how does that even work? How can one physical spot on the ground be a gateway to a higher spiritual dimension? For that, we've got to look at the very architecture of reality, the cosmic blueprint as Kabbalah understands it.
Now, to understand the mechanics, we first need to learn the language, and that language is the Sephiroth. These are the 10 fundamental channels that divine energy flows through to create and sustain, well, everything. You can think of them as the primary code, the operating system of the entire cosmos.
All right, so this slide basically maps out the cosmic axis that Abraham was able to see. It's like a current of reality. Way up at the top, you've got Gan Eden, which corresponds to Bina, or pure understanding. That's the source. From there, a current of this supernal light flows down through a spiritual conduit, which is the Sephirai of Yesod, or foundation. And this channel, it pierces all the way down and anchors itself in one specific point in our physical world, Malchut, the kingdom. And guess what that point is? It's the cave. And Abraham, because his own consciousness was in a perfect state of tiferet, or harmony, was the one person who could tune into the right frequency and see the whole structure.
So think of it like this. Malchut, our physical world, is all about concealment. Divinity is hidden. The cave, with its dark, earthy feel, is the perfect symbol of Malchut. But this isn't just any old spot. It's a weak point in the fabric of concealment, a place where a direct line, Yesod, punches right through from the spiritual realms and anchors itself in the physical. It's a stable connection.
And this is a really crucial piece of the puzzle. The gateway isn't just about the place, it's about the person looking. I mean, why could Abraham see this when nobody else could? Because his soul was in a state of tiferet, a state of perfect balance and harmony. This balanced consciousness acted like a key, or maybe a special lens, that let him tune into the frequency of that Yesod channel and actually perceive the spiritual reality it was connected to. The vision needed both the unique place and his unique spiritual state.
So what was he actually seeing at the other end of this connection? The vision of Adam and Eve wasn't just like watching a historical replay. He was seeing the Adam Harishon, the primordial human. Think of it as the spiritual blueprint from which all of our souls are carved. He was literally looking at humanity's source code, perfectly preserved, and that is why burial in the cave is so important. You're not just putting a body in the ground, you're plugging the soul directly back into its original, untarnished source. Once you get the cosmic stakes of this place, it changes everything. Abraham's reaction isn't just simple awe anymore. It becomes this urgent, strategic, and deeply spiritual mission. This mystical revelation demanded immediate, decisive action right here in the real world. Let's go back to that quote from the very beginning. Immediately his desire was for that place. Now we finally understand the sheer intensity of that desire. It was a holy imperative. He knew, with absolute certainty, that this nexus point, this conduit between worlds, could not be left to chance. It had to be bought, it had to be consecrated, and it had to be protected for the future of his family and, really, for the whole world.
You know, the whole meticulous, drawn-out negotiation for the Cave of Machpelah was one of the most important things he ever did. He wasn't just buying a piece of land. He was performing an act of cosmic engineering. He had to create a permanent physical anchor for this spiritual connection. He had to set up a place where the souls of his children could return to their original root. And most critically, he had to make sure the sacred portal would be used for holiness and be protected from being profaned or misused. He was taking a fleeting, private vision and forging it into a permanent, eternal legacy in the physical world.
Okay, I know this is all very profound, very deep stuff, but how do we get our modern minds around this idea of a physical gateway to a spiritual source code?
To do that, let's try to translate these ancient ideas into a couple of modern analogies that might click.
All right, for all the gamers out there, imagine you're deep in some complex, open-world game. You stumble into a random cave you thought was just part of the scenery, but inside you find a secret portal that teleports you all the way back to the game's original starting area. Level 0, the pure, uncorrupted code. Or, for the tech folks, think of our world as a massive, complicated production environment. The cave is like a hidden, undocumented root access node, a direct terminal connection from our messy, live environment right back to the pristine, original system blueprint of humanity.
You see, whether you think in terms of video games or network architecture, the underlying idea is exactly the same. The cave is a unique access point. It lets you bypass all the normal rules of the system to connect directly to the origin point, the root directory, the untarnished beginning, before all the bugs and the noise. It takes you right back to the pure source.
Wow. So, we've journeyed with Abraham into the darkness, we've decoded the cosmic mechanics, we've even translated it into modern terms. But the most powerful teachings are always the ones that reflect back on us. So, what does this ancient secret mean for you and for me, right here and right now?
So what are the absolute core truths we've pulled from this journey? Let's boil it down. 1. The Cave of Machpelah is a real, physical nexus point where our world touches the Garden of Eden. 2. That vision of Adam and Eve, that's a vision of our own soul's blueprint, our perfected state. 3. Burial there is literally an act of reconnecting to that source. And finally, and this is the big one for us, it's a specific state of sacred, balanced consciousness that allows a person to even see these hidden gateways in the first place.
And this leads us to the final and I think most provocative question. The entire story is built on the idea that a physical place like this can exist, a crack between the worlds. Well, if that's true for the external world, for the land itself, then what about our internal world? What hidden gateways, what secret access points to our own primordial, untarnished beginning might exist within our own consciousness?
You know, maybe the story of Abraham's discovery isn't just about a place in the ground. Maybe it's a map that tells us that with the right state of being, with that perfect balance of Tiferet, we too can find the hidden cave within ourselves, that quiet, sacred space where we can reconnect with our own pure source. And that journey, the quest to find that inner gateway, well, that's the ultimate human adventure.
Thank you for joining us for this complete journey through the Pardes. We hope these ancient truths help you and your family improve your own dimensions this week. If you enjoyed this full chapter deep dive, please like, subscribe, and share which part of the journey touched your soul in the comments. We'll see you in the next chapter.